My name is Julia Garrow. Here is my name and the date. It is November 7th, 2022. I will be presenting on the determination of gender and what goes into the determination of gender in zygote development. Genes are a big part of gender determination, and a few of the important ones included are the sex chromosomes, which are X and Y, and they determine the genetic sex of the individual. Females are determined by the presence of two X chromosomes, where males are determined by possessing XY chromosomes. The SRY gene is also important, and it is the sex-determining region of the Y chromosome. Its absence signals the bipotential gonads to develop into ovaries, where its presence on the Y chromosome, which are present in males, its presence triggers the bipotential gonads to develop into testes. It also produces a hormone that I am not mentioning today, but it also produces something called the testes determining factor, which produces testes. With all types of genetics, there can be a number of abnormalities or mutations where the genes essentially don't go the way that they're supposed to go. I have a few of these abnormalities listed. The first one is Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is the result of an individual possessing only one X chromosome. This individual will develop into a female because there is no Y chromosome and therefore no SRY gene present. But the female will not function as a female with two X chromosomes would. People with Turner syndrome cannot reproduce, and they have a number of physical abnormalities which can be observed in the image I have here. So a few of these abnormalities are they have an extremely short stature, they have kind of a low posture, a wide neck, or it's called webbing of the neck. They have a really broad chest and widely spaced nipples, and a few other things that essentially double X females don't have. The next abnormality is the presence of only a Y chromosome, and individuals where only one Y chromosome is expressed will die because they do not have the necessary genes that are encoded within the X chromosome that are required for life. The next mutation, abnormality, if you call it, is called Klinefelter syndrome. And this is when an individual has two X chromosomes as well as a Y chromosome. These individuals develop into males, and they usually do not present any obvious symptoms. A lot of people don't even know that they have Klinefelter syndrome until they're older and officially diagnosed by medical professionals. I believe only a couple of the obvious symptoms is like delayed puberty. And the final genetic abnormality we're going to talk about today is the presence of three X chromosomes. And this is a very rare condition. And these individuals develop into females because there's no Y chromosome, there's no SRY gene present. And a lot of times, like Klinefelter, they experience no obvious symptoms. It's just an extra X chromosome. This extra X chromosome becomes inactivated just like the second X chromosome does, essentially just a bar body, or an extra bar body, I should say. There are a number of hormones that go into determining gender of a developing embryo, and I have a few of these listed. We have androgens, we have gonadotropin-releasing hormones, we have the beta family, which is growth factors, and we have gonadotropins, and I'll get into more detail on those in the coming slides. Okay, the first group of hormones we're going to talk about are androgens. Androgens are steroid hormones that are produced in the gonads and the adrenal cortex. They are the primary hormones that assist in puberty and sexual development. They are predominant in males. Testosterone and DHT are essentially mostly predominant in males. Testosterone in development is responsible for the conversion of the Wolffian ducts into accessory structures such as the epididymis, the vas deferens, and the seminal vesicles. It is also responsible for the migration of the testes from the abdomen into the scrotum. And I included a picture of the structure of testosterone. You can see the steroid structure in the image. Dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, is responsible for the development of external male genitalia and secondary sexual characteristics exhibited in males. And I included estrogen here with a star because both male and females possess an enzyme called aromatase. And aromatase is responsible for converting androgens into estrogen. Estrogen is not an androgen itself, but it is a derivative of them, and I felt it was important enough to include because testosterone can be converted into estrogen by aromatase. Okay, the next big ones include the gonadotropin-releasing hormone and the gonadotropins. The gonadotropin-releasing hormone does exactly what it sounds like. It controls the secretion of two gonadotropins, which are called follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. The follicle-stimulating hormone is required in order to both initiate and maintain gametogenesis, which is the production of gametes, and it is activated by activins and inhibited by inhibins, which we'll talk about in the next slide. Luteinizing hormone acts on endocrine cells and stimulates the production of steroid sex hormones, which we had just talked about, called androgens, aka testosterone and DHT. There is a group or family of growth and determination factors called the beta family. The beta family includes the anti-Müllerian hormone, inhibins, and activins, which I had stated previously. The anti-Müllerian hormone is secreted by testicular Sertoli cells and is a glycoprotein that causes the degeneration of Müllerian ducts during embryonic development. Inhibins are a peptide hormone produced in the gonads that inhibits FSH secretion, which I had talked about in the previous slide. It inhibits follicle-stimulating hormone from being secreted, and activins does the opposite. They are a peptide hormone produced in the gonads that stimulates follicle-stimulating hormone secretion. Obviously, these are all very important because follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone are very important parts of the gender determination. There are a lot of hormones involved in this process and the reproductive system as a whole, and that can be very confusing. So the study aid I came up with was to create a table of all of the hormones that I have listed and more that are involved in gender determination. And the requirements I have for this table is to include the hormone's name, what the hormone does, meaning like what organ the hormone acts on, what the hormone changes in the body, and where in the body the hormone is derived from or where it comes from, where it's produced, like the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, etc. Gonads, wherever the hormone comes from. These are the sources I used for my presentation. Thank you.